Hello, welcome. My name is Dagmara. I am a Creatio Academy trainer, and today I will tell you how to set up a double opt-in using Creatio marketing campaigns. We will dive into the elements that you need in order to build your successful campaign, configure your landing page, and design your trigger email. Let's begin. Our campaign will consist of users added to our campaign by means of providing the data on our form on the landing page, then one trigger email and two landing pages. Once my colleagues provide with the details on the form, this particular form with the full name and the email, and they hit send, they enter our campaign. By means of this element, this initial starting point called add from web page. We will talk about the elements a little bit later in detail. So this is our starting point. They provide us with information by means of filling out the form on the landing page. Next, they receive a confirmation email from us, a trigger email. Let me show you an example of a trigger email. I've included two buttons, one to confirm, the other one to unsubscribe. We will see how we can set that up in a moment. Once they provide with the confirmation, they click on our confirm button, they can exit the campaign. This is our successful path. I have included one more element here to modify data by means of my campaign. So if I go to the contact section and, for example, open my contact record, as you can see under tab subscriptions, I have an opt-in date field. All right, so once I provide with information here, once I receive the trigger email and once I hit the confirm button, I will get adequate information here. This will be populated with the help of my campaign. So I think a very nice addition, very user-friendly. We will talk about in detail how to make this work for us. Okay. Let me go back to our campaign. So this is what we want to achieve. This is a campaign that we want to build. Let us start with a first element that would be a trigger email. All right, let's start with that one. Moving on to our email section. Once we go to our email section, we can see the list view with the list of our emails here. As you can see on the right side, we have some general information on our emails, information on the category or when it was created, status, and so on. From the left, we have the subject and the campaign if our email is taking part in any campaign. If you're aware, we have two types of marketing emails available. If I click on the new button, I have bulk email and trigger email. It's important to understand the difference between these two before working on your campaign, because if you want to include your marketing email in a campaign, you have to go with the trigger email. Right? If you start building with working with a bulk email category, you should know that later on it won't be available for selection while creating your campaign flow. So be cautious of that. All right. So bulk emails are designed for sending a large number of emails to a broad audience at once, right? They're typically used for newsletters or some type of announcements intended for a mass audience, right? And our trigger email, these are sent out automatically whenever the predefined trigger condition is met and are to be a part of campaign. Okay. All right, let me start with clicking on new again, and let's go to trigger email. Okay, at the very top, let's give it an appropriate name. Let's say type webinar. Okay, once I provide it with this, I can go straight to my design now. Let's give it a moment to load. Okay, so we've arrived here to design our trigger email. If you're unfamiliar with this place on the left side, we have our library of components here, of elements that we can simply drag and drop onto our canvas in the middle. All right, on the right side, I will have the settings, the corresponding settings to the element that I'm currently working with. Okay. Also on the left side, we have available templates. So if you're not wishing to start from scratch, you can just choose the template that you like. Okay, let's see. I will definitely go with a template. Let's go with this one. I think it would be user-friendly to include some actual text here. So let me simply just provide with some more real life like email situation here. All right, I'm gonna get rid of this. Okay, from the left side, again, I will need two buttons, one for their confirmation, my colleague's confirmation, and one for the unsubscribe. So from the left top, I have my button available here. Let me simply drag and drop it below. Oh, first I need a block, sorry guys, and then a button. Okay. Now I'm going to work with this element. So first I'm gonna rename it to confirm. Let me put it to the left. All right, perhaps we could give it some more color. And perhaps make it like that. All right. So link to open at the very top here, we will need to include the link to our second landing page. We will create that landing page in a few moments. So for now, I'm going to leave it blank, but we need to remember to go back to our template to include this link. All right, this is very important, and we would like to do this prior to creating our campaign so that later on, while creating a campaign, this confirm action would be available from the campaign's perspective. So it's very important. It's a little detail, but we have to remember about things like that. All right, we have the confirm button. Let's add another one here, for example. Let's say subscribe. Let me move it to the right. Okay. Let's give it some different color. Oh, I really don't like this one. Okay. All right, something like this. Now, for the unsubscribe one, I can simply use a macro here. So let me just put it right here, and that's it. It'll do the job. Okay. That's it. Next, as you can see at the very top, I can go to headers, and now I can provide with the sender's name, which would be my name, like so. Perhaps let me include some subject, and let me include my email address. All right. If again, this is something new to you, you should know that we also can see the preview. So how the email would look like from our colleague's perspective. So as you can see on the right side, we can even see what it will look like on their mobiles. Okay, let me go back to design. I think it's ready. Let me save. Done. So once I have created my trigger email, let me close that and let me save here as well. That's it. That was it, guys. Very, very easy. All right. Now, once we have our first element, we have our trigger email. Let us go to talk about a little bit about our landing pages. Okay. We have our email. Let's move to our landing pages. In our case, we need two, one for initial registration and the other one that will come along with our trigger email. I will show you both in WordPress. Okay, to create landing pages, I'm using this Elementor to create my page. Okay, now, as you can see, I have created a very simple landing page. At the very top, I have some image included, and below I have the form, right? How do we get this information provided by our colleagues back to Creatio, right? We need to have this information from the Creatio's perspective. So for this reason, we need to use the element that's called form. From the left side, again, we have the elements that we can simply drag and drop onto our canvas. So if I scroll down a little bit, to include a picture here, I've utilized this image element, and to work with the form from the left side, here is the form element, and I've simply dragged and dropped it right here, like so. All right, once I have it on my canvas on the left side, I can see the fields, let's say the email one, and then I can work with that element. For example, I am not happy with the message field being available here. I can, for example, get rid of that and so on. I could add some more if I needed more. I could decide on the type, right? Okay. Let me get rid of the second one. Let's talk about the one that I have preset for you. So first, we get our form onto our canvas. Okay. This is the element that that's going to connect and get the data to Creatio. Now the purpose of this is to get information back to Creatio, sorry. We need to define our action after submit. From the left side, again, let me scroll down a little bit. I have a little section here, actions after submit. All right, as you can see, I've already defined that it is a webhook. Should you not see it here, as you can see, if I leave this empty by clicking on the empty space here, I can find it right here, webhook. All right. So to get the details from this form to Creatio, we need webhooks. Now, the next sort of section here called webhook. All right, we need to include the webhook URL. All right, for every Creatio's environment, let's say we have a specific URL. Now, how do we generate this? Let me show you. It's very simple. By going back to my Creatio environment, I'm going to go to the contact section. All right, and to the top right, I have import, and I have web forms and pages. Okay. All right, and as you can see from the left side, I could work with Landingi, WordPress, or some other landing pages. In my case, I'm working with WordPress. So I have some general information on how to working with that. As you can see, we have already included the form, yes. Then we defined our action after submit, yes. And now we're going to get the webhook URL. So I simply click here, and then I need to copy this URL and include it right here, like I already did. Okay, these are our first steps. All right, now to get these registrations, we are going to link this form to an object called form submit. Okay, so I have under my form fields included two additional fields called entity name for each of the fields here. Okay, let me open this one, for example. All right. So I have a new item. I simply clicked on add item, right? And that's how I've added a new field. Let me close that. So going back to entity name. So we need to add new item and we need to connect to the entity name. Type needs to be hidden because this is not something that the users will enter, right? So as you can see, I can decide on the type and hidden is right here. All right, and label entity name. This is the same for both. All right. And now if I click on advanced, as you can see, I have two tabs here. If I go to advanced, I am specifying the object. So my object is form submit. To get registrations from the landing page, I'm going to use form submit, but it can be related to any other object. For example, if the purpose of the landing page is to get contacts, here your default value would be contact, right? If you want to get leads, it will be lead. And so depending to which object you want to enter data into, this will change. Now we need to link the fields that are in our form. Okay, I have already done so, but let me tell you what is the most important and crucial part here so that we could establish the connection. Okay. All right, so as you can see, I have full name here. All right, the type of that field would be text and the label, and that's the crucial part. Label needs to be the same as the code of the corresponding field in the form submit object. Let me show you where you can find this object, the form submit object. All right, each specific field, you have a specific code. You don't have to know them by heart. Let me show you how to find them. Okay, so from Creatio's perspective again, let me go to the top right. Let me scroll down a little bit and I'm looking for my admin area and advanced settings. Let's give it a moment to load. Okay, if this is something that you're not familiar with, as you can see, I have already looked for this object. Let me just click on the X here. So if I were to start from scratch, let me start looking for my object. I'll start typing form submit. Okay, and I can already see it right here. Okay, this is my object. Let's open it. And let's take a look from the perspective of the object designer, okay? What I'm looking for, on the left side, I have inherited columns. Let me click here. And now, if I go back here to my Elementor, I am first looking for the name-related field, full name, okay? If I go back, oh goodness, here. Sorry. If I go back to my object designer, I'm looking for the column with full name. Let's look for this one. Here it is, full name. All right. Once I click here on the right side, I can see the code, the exact code. So I have already copied this and included it right here for the label, right? And again, I did the same with the email. So for the label, this one is pretty clear. We have email code. Let me show you. So from this perspective, let me see. Email. There it is. And the code is exactly email. All right. Okay. So remember that the label needs to be matching the code. Okay. All right. Let me also tell you that it is wise to include the landing page URL of the specific form. Perhaps later on, you could tell to your campaign that if my user submitted a form in this URL, then this is my registration, right? For example, that could be of help. I've included it to show you what it can look like. As you can see, type is hidden and the label is landing page URL. Again, if you would go to the form submit object and start looking for the URL related column, let me start typing in landing page URL. That's the exact code. So I've simply copied it, and included it right here. And for advanced, I have included the link to my landing page. So this one, the finished page that my colleagues will see and will work with. Okay. All right, I hope that's helpful. If you've never worked with WordPress or perhaps with Landingi, you should know that we have a separate tech hour on these two. So if you're interested, it's available on YouTube for you to dive in if that's something that you would like to get more information on. Okay. All right, and now, since we have the first one, let us take care of the second one. Let's create it from scratch together so that we could have a little practice. So let me see here. Sorry. Okay, so back to WordPress. As you can see, here is a button to create a new page. Let's hit that. Let's give it a moment to load. All right, let's create a very, very simple landing page with just a thank you message for the confirmation. So from the left side, I'm just going to include some image. So I'm going to drag and drop it. From the left here, I can choose my image. Let me go with this one, like so. Okay, let me click here again. And now let's include some thank you message, so text editor element. All right. Let me get some thank you notes in here. All right. Okay, simple as that. Once I'm ready, below on the left, you can publish. That's done. All right, so let us have a look. That's our finished page, and this is something that we want to include again in our trigger email, right? This is the confirmation that they will see once they click on the confirm button. So let me copy that link and let us go back to the email section. Let's give it a moment. Oh, I am impatient. Let me refresh. Okay, We have our tech webinar. Past trigger email. Let me open the designer. All right, for the confirm button. And now if you recall, we have to take care of this field, link to open. So I am including the link and now it's ready. Let me save. All right, let's give it a moment to save. Patience. Okay, I see it needs a moment. Let's give it a few more moments. Next step for us will be working with our campaign. So we will add a campaign. Okay, I see it's done. All right, lovely. Let me close that then, and let me save here as well. All right, that's done. Let me close. Okay, next step, our campaign. Moving to the campaign section. So from the left side, campaigns. And now on the top right, I can click on Create Campaign button. I'll get a mini page. Let me give this some name like Tech Webinar Test. So I will go. All right. Let's create campaign. Here it is at the very top. Let's be open. All right. So under the campaign flow tab, we will have the diagram for our campaign flow. Let's design that part. How to do that? In the top right, we have edit campaign flow. Let's give it a moment. All right. Again, if this is perhaps something that you're not familiar with, on the left side, we have some elements to work with. And again, we can simply drag and drop it onto our canvas right here in the middle. And again, on the right side, we will have the corresponding settings of our elements added onto the canvas. All right, again, if you've never worked with this, you can see that some elements are in green, some elements are in purple and blue, and some are red. So every campaign needs to have a starting point. So our starting points would be in green. Okay. Next, we will have some elements that go in the middle. So these would be the blue ones and the purple ones. All right, and then we have exit from campaign. Okay, this little guy here. All right. Once we are a little more familiar with our designer here, let's start building our campaign. Okay, we're going to start with the add from web page element. So from the left side, add from web page, drag and drop right here. And again, you should know that you could include many elements here. You could have a very complex campaign. Don't worry, you won't run out of space. If you click and hold anywhere on the empty space here, you can move around your elements. So I think a very nice feature. All right, but back to the add from web page. At the top, you can change the name of that particular element. So perhaps I could get rid of this one. I will have only one. All right. Next, we decide on the audience object. In our case, that would be submitted form. Okay. Technically, the audience could be added into any object. So I would say form submit can be of great help here. And I would say this object is a bit special. If you want to create a new contact from the landing page, then use form submit. So if you connect your landing page using the integration through webhooks service and map it to object submit form, two things will happen. You will receive a new submitted form into the object submitted form, which is expected. And the second thing is we have a business process that, based on the new submitted form, will create a new contact or find an existing contact. So that's how a submitted form is special. All right. Okay. You have to connect it to the web page. By default, if you use submit form, it also has the landing page URL field. So you don't have to do any changes. But if you use any other object, you'll probably have to include that landing page URL for the system to parse. Otherwise, again, not everything will work. So this works perfectly with submitted forms. Other objects will require certain customization. All right. Okay, once we have our initial element, let me just include the link of our initial form. Oh, goodness. Here it is. All right. Here is the link. Let me introduce another element. Let's go with the marketing email one. So let me drop it right here. Let's decide which trigger email to send. I will simply click on the magnifying glass here. Here is our trigger email that we've built together. Let me select. Okay, I can see some information on my trigger email. At the top, I could change the name of this element. For example, confirm. All right, now let me connect these elements with one another. So from add from web page, I'm going to click. And here I have a possibility to add flow. I'm going to click and hold. This way, I can connect to the next element. All right. Now, what will happen after my colleagues confirm? Once they've confirmed, once they've clicked on my button, they can exit from the campaign. That's a happy scenario for us. This is our goal. This is what we want to achieve. So I need the exit from campaign element. Let me put it right here. And now from confirm, again, I want to connect with the flow like so. Okay, this is my campaign goal. So I'm going to make sure to include this information here. One more thing. Let me take care of my conditional flow here. As you can see at the top right, conditional flow. All right, again, I want to decide on what is the result of the confirmed step. Let's go to setup responsive for transferring participants. And I want to say email clicked. And I want to be specific. Let me click on my magnifying glass. Confirm. Again, if you recall, this is what we called our button included in our trigger email. And this is the link that we've also included there while creating our email. All right, let me select. That's that. All right, below you could introduce some additional filtering if you would need to be more precise, okay? All right. Let us introduce some additional elements. Apologies, guys. Let us introduce two additional elements. Let's talk a little bit about what we could also include here. So, let's include the modified data element. So let me drag and drop it here. Let me move this a little bit to the right. Okay. So again, as a reminder, I would go to the contact section, and if I were to open any record, I have opt-in date field included here under the subscriptions tab. And now I want for this to be automatically filled out anytime my colleagues confirm, right? And I want for my campaign to help me with this. I don't want to do this manually, right? So as you can see, this is a non-editable field. My colleagues won't be able to make any changes to that. This will be done by my campaign. All right, how to do that? Let me first show you from the perspective of my campaign, and then I'll show you how to add this here on our form page. Let's go back to our campaign. So modify data. And then we're asked which object to modify data of. Definitely contact, right? And now which column values to set. Let us select a field that we're interested in. That would be the opt-in date. All right. One very important thing, in order for the column, the field that you want to work with here, to appear here for selection, you first have to take care of the modified data lookup and include it there so that it would be available. Let me quickly show you how to find it and what to include there, all right? So let me just save here. And now from this perspective, let me show you. Lookup section. All right, as you see, I've already been looking for this. If you're having troubles finding it, again, we have lots of lookups here. Let us add filter and modify. Here it is, modify data element. Let's open. All right, and this is what we need to do. I have object contact, and as you can see, I have allowed columns, all right? And here I've added the code of my opt-in date, all right? As you can see, it's also including the prefix, okay? So if I were wondering what's the code of my opt-in date, I would go here and then to Application Hub. Let's give it a moment. And I know that I would have to go here and then to data models, my contacts. All right, and see columns, and that's the one. And this is the code. So simple as that. I get the exact code and then I include it in my lookup. All right. So that I could have it here for selection. Okay, this is a very important step. I hope this will save you a lot of time in the future looking for that. So you'll have it in recording here. All right. All right. Let me take care of this still. I'm going to click on the lightning bolt. I'll go with date and time macro. And definitely current date and current time will work for me. Let me select. All right. Now, we could also, if we wanted to, we could also add an alternative exit from the campaign. For example, we could select a folder here to go with the unsubscribed select. It could look like this. All right, we could also maybe work with the flow while connecting with this element. So for example, then we could specify the unsubscribed, right? So As you can see here, for example, we would say recipient unsubscribe if we were to work with this element, right? But in our case, I don't think this element is necessary here, so I'm not going to include it. When my colleagues unsubscribe, the checkbox is marked automatically by the system. Nothing else needs to be done in my case. Should you wish to have a more complicated unsubscribe, you might need to do a bit more with that, perhaps. The campaign, maybe in terms of business processes, how you're trying to handle this. But in our case, I'm going to keep it simple. So let me just remove that element. All right. Oh, and goodness, for the modified data. So we know how to get this information here. Let me show you how to add it to our contact record. So to the top right, I have this little cogwheel element, edit page. Let me click on that. Let's give it a moment to load. And now, for the subscriptions tab, as you can see, I already have my opt-in date field. If I were to add it again, I would simply go to the left top. I have date/time field. I would simply drag and drop it. All right, and to the right side, you can give it some title, date, and time that you feel like would be informative to your colleagues. Make sure to give it some code that also makes sense for you, like date and time, and something like this. Make sure to confirm. All right, and then I would advise that perhaps it would make sense to make this a read-only field because again, information here will be populated by means of our campaign, right? So I would do it in such a way. All right, simple as that. It's done. I will delete it because, well, I already have one. So let me close. I want to save. All right. Again, if our colleagues unsubscribe, let me show you what it'll look like from this perspective. For example, here, as you can see, I have information. This contact is currently not subscribed to any bulk marketing emails. All right, let's see how it would look from this perspective for the opt-in date. Let's see, as my colleague kindly provided with the confirmation. Let's see. All right, this is what it will look like. We have a date and we have appropriate time. So I think a very user-friendly feature. I think it would add to an experience. So definitely worth considering. All right. Once my colleagues go through the landing page with the form, I'll be able to see relevant information in my webhooks section. As you can see, this full name and this email address I've included at the very beginning while working with that landing page, right? Okay, that's one place. And again, I've submitted a form. Let's go to submitted forms section. As you can see, I have appropriate information here as well. Okay. All right. So let me go back to here. Let me save my progress. Let's give it a moment. Oh, one more thing. Okay, let me save now. All right. So now my colleagues will be going through here. They will hit send. And accordingly with my flow, they will receive a confirmation email, right? Oh goodness, let me close that. Let us go back to the campaign. All right, here it is. Let us start the campaign. All right. So now once they provide with information through the landing page, they will receive a confirmation email. And then depending on their reply to that, if they confirm, the information on the opt-in date time will be modified accordingly, and they will exit from the campaign. Or if they unsubscribe, the information will also show on their contact record page under subscriptions tab. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you would have any more comments or questions, you can leave them down below. We'll be happy to answer. Also, you can reach out to us over email to Creatio Academy. Please remember that if you'd be interested in more information on Landingi, working with WordPress, we do have a separate tech hour recording on YouTube. I would strongly recommend to follow up with this one. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Bye.